everyone, and welcome to our deep dive all about AI and the future of work.
Yeah.
Um, we've gotten a ton of questions about this, so clearly it's something a lot of you are thinking about, and rightfully so. AI is evolving so fast, it's
Right.
kind of hard to keep up with what it all means. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you.
It really is amazing how quickly things are changing. Even just a few years ago, we were mostly talking about robots in factories. But now AI is popping up everywhere, healthcare, finance, even in creative fields.
Right, and I think what really freaks people out is this idea that robots are going to take our jobs. Like, is that really going to happen?
Well, some jobs are definitely more vulnerable than others, that's for sure.
Okay, so what are we talking about? Give us the scary stuff.
Well, those Boston Dynamics robots, the ones that do backflips and all that, that's not just for show. Those things, along with systems like Amazon's Kiva robots, are already working in warehouses and factories 24/7. No breaks, no complaints. And they're often way more efficient than humans.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of scary. But it's not just blue-collar jobs, right?
Hmm.
What about, office jobs?
Oh, yeah. White-collar jobs are definitely being impacted, too. Take JP Morgan Chase, for example.
Mm.
They have this AI platform called Koyen that can review legal documents and pull out all the important info. It can do in seconds what used to take lawyers hours and hours. And get this, it now reviews over 1 million documents a year, work that humans used to do.
Wow, so even lawyers aren't safe.
Oh.
What about other fields?
We're seeing it in healthcare, too. There was this one study where an AI was able to spot certain cancers in MRI scans 30% faster than even the best radiologists.
Really? That's wild.
Well,
I mean, it's impressive, but also kind of makes you wonder what happens to doctors then, right?
it's not necessarily about replacing doctors completely. It's more about them working with AI. And that actually brings up a good point. It's not all doom and gloom here. AI is creating new jobs, too.
Yeah, right. It's not just about jobs disappearing, it's about them changing.
Yeah.
So what kind of new jobs are we talking about?
Think about it. Somebody's got to build, train, and manage all these AI systems, right? So that's where these new jobs come in. AI trainers, data scientists, people who write the instructions for the AI to follow, ethics auditors, and tons more. And these are good jobs too. High skill, high paying, and they're only going to become more in demand as AI keeps growing.
So it's like a whole new world is opening up with AI, and we don't even know what all the possibilities are yet.
Exactly. It's just the beginning.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little better now.
Yeah.
But let's be real. For someone who's not like a tech genius, this can feel super overwhelming. What advice would you give someone who's worried about their job becoming obsolete?
Well, the key is to be adaptable. You got to be willing to learn new things and focus on skills that AI can't replicate. Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, problem solving. Those are things that AI just can't do.
So it's not just about learning to code then. It's about those human skills that make us unique.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to keep learning throughout your career. The jobs of the future might not even exist yet, so you got to be ready to adapt.
So it's not just about surviving this AI revolution, but thriving in it.
Exactly. And that's what we'll talk about next. How to equip yourself with the knowledge and skills to not just survive, but really excel in this new world of work.
Sounds good. We'll be back in a moment to explore those strategies. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. A lot of you have been asking about how to prepare for this AI future, so let's get into that.
Yeah, let's make this practical. What can people actually do to, make sure they're ready for all this? You mentioned upskilling before. What does that actually look like?
Well, it's all about being proactive. You can't just wait around and see what happens. Start exploring those online learning platforms like Coursera or Udacity. They've got a ton of courses on AI data science, all sorts of stuff that's going to be in demand. And you can learn from experts all over the world at your own pace, too, which is great.
That's really helpful, especially for people who are, already working full-time and can't just quit their job to go back to school.
Right. And it's not just about those technical skills either. Remember, we were talking about those human skills. Those are super important, too.
So things like being able to communicate, work with other people, problem solve, be creative, those are all still going to matter.
Absolutely. More than ever, actually. AI can do a lot of the tasks, but it can't replace human ingenuity and, emotional intelligence. Those are the things that are going to make you stand out.
So how do you even develop those skills? Can you take a class in that, or is it more about experience?
It's honestly a little bit of both. I mean, there are definitely courses and workshops out there that can help you improve those skills. But you also got to put yourself out there and practice them in real life.
Like what? Can you give us some examples?
Well, think about your job right now. Are there opportunities to take on something new, maybe work with a different team, or try to, really sell your ideas to people? Those are all ways to build those human skills that are going to be so valuable.
So it's not just about learning new stuff, but actually applying what you know and pushing yourself a little bit.
Exactly. And don't forget about networking. Talk to people in your field, go to events, join online groups. You never know where your next opportunity is going to come from.
Okay, I'm getting the message. Be proactive, learn new things, and network like crazy.
That's it. And, don't be afraid to make a change. If you can see that your current industry is on the way out, be open to trying something completely different.
Like what? What are some of those AI-resistant fields?
Think about things that really require that human connection. Like mental health counseling is a good example. AI can help with some things, but it can't replace a real human therapist. And there's a huge need for that right now.
That makes sense. What else?
Well, there's also a growing need for people who understand the ethical and legal side of AI, like AI ethicists, policy analysts, lawyers who specialize in AI law. All of those are going to be essential as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
So it's not all bad news.
Yeah.
There are actually some pretty exciting opportunities out there for people who are willing to adapt.
Exactly. You got to see this as a time of change, not just disruption. It's a chance to rethink what work even means. Find new ways to use your skills and create a future where technology actually helps us, not replaces us.
That's a much more optimistic way to look at it. But let's be real for a second. This transition isn't going to be easy for everyone. Some people are going to lose their jobs. Some are going to struggle to adapt. What happens to them?
That's a great question. And it's something we definitely can't ignore. This is where companies and governments have to step up. They need to help people get through this transition and make sure everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
So what can they actually do? Like what specific actions should they be taking?
Well, for companies, it's about investing in their employees. Don't just lay people off when a machine can do their job. Give them a chance to learn new skills, maybe move to a different role in the company. You can create apprenticeship programs, offer help with tuition, partner with online learning platforms. There are so many options.
It's about seeing your employees as valuable, not just disposable.
Exactly. And governments have a role to play too. They need to invest in public education and training programs, make sure everyone can get affordable, high-quality training in AI, and they need to create safety nets for people who lose their jobs. Provide income support, help them find new jobs.
That sounds like a huge challenge,
Yeah,
but also like a chance to build a better system.
that's exactly right. It's an opportunity to create an economy where everyone has a chance to do well, regardless of their background or what skills they have now.
That's a really inspiring thought. But I think we also need to be realistic and acknowledge that there could be some negative consequences of this AI revolution, right? Like what about all the talk about biased algorithms and worker surveillance and AI being used to exploit people instead of empower them?
Those are all valid concerns, and we need to be really careful about how we develop and use AI. AI systems are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if the data is biased, the AI is going to be biased too. That's why it's so important to make sure the data is diverse and representative of everyone.
So it really comes down to the humans who are building these systems and the decisions they make.
Exactly. We have to be thoughtful about this and always put human values first.
That's a really important point, and it's something we'll definitely be talking about more in future episodes. But for now, let's shift gears a little and look at some specific examples of how AI is already changing the world of work. We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, we're back, and I'm ready to hear some real-world examples. How is AI actually changing things out there in the workplace? What are some of the biggest changes you've seen?
Well, I think healthcare is a really good example. It's one of the areas where AI is having a huge impact. We already talked about how AI can spot cancer in those MRI scans faster than humans, but that's really just the beginning. AI is being used to create personalized treatment plans, predict how patients are going to do, even assist with surgeries.
It's pretty incredible. But it also makes you wonder what's going to happen to doctors and nurses as AI gets even more advanced, right?
Right. It's not necessarily about replacing them entirely, but their roles are definitely going to change. Imagine a future where AI can handle a lot of those routine tasks, like analyzing test results or keeping track of vital signs. That would free up doctors and nurses to spend more time actually interacting with patients, providing that personalized care and emotional support that's so important.
So AI could actually help bring back that human element that's sometimes missing in healthcare these days.
Exactly. And it's not just healthcare either. We're seeing these changes in finance, transportation, manufacturing, all over the place. In finance, AI is being used to automate trading, detect fraud, assess risk. In transportation, self-driving cars and trucks are already out there being tested. And in manufacturing, robots are getting so sophisticated they can do things that used to require like human dexterity and precision.
So this is really happening everywhere. It's not just a few isolated cases. It's like a total shift in the way we work. But I want to go back to something you said earlier about the ethical implications of AI. A lot of people are worried about that. What are some of the biggest concerns?
Well, job displacement is a big one. As AI automates more and more tasks, some jobs are going to disappear. That's just inevitable. So we need to think about how to support those workers and help them transition into new roles. Things like retraining programs and safety nets are going to be crucial.
Yeah, we can't just leave people behind as technology moves forward. What about the potential for AI to be used in harmful or discriminatory ways? I mean, you hear stories about biased algorithms and AI systems that actually perpetuate existing inequalities.
Those are definitely valid concerns, and we need to be really careful about that. AI systems are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if the data is biased, the AI is going to be biased too. That's why it's so important to make sure that the data that's being used to train these systems is diverse and representative of everyone.
So it really comes down to the people who are building these systems and the choices they make.
Exactly. We can't just focus on the technology itself. We have to think about the ethical implications too.
That's a great point. And we've covered a lot of ground today. It's been a really fascinating conversation. As we wrap up, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from all this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the future of work is not set in stone. It's something we're all creating together. By embracing lifelong learning, working together, and putting human values first, we can use AI to build a better future for everyone.
That's a really powerful message.
Hmm.
Thanks for joining us today. It's been a really insightful conversation.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening out there, remember that the future is not something to be afraid of. It's something we can shape. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in this conversation about AI and the future of work. Your voice matters, and your actions can make a real difference. Thanks for tuning in to our deep